Hello and welcome to another daily market FX Centrum analysis. For today, we will go for our cross-asset list and we'll cover coffee, crude oil, US 100, USD Japanese yen, we'll speak about the British pound versus US dollar, euro dollar, US 30, gold market, and dollar index. We will do this by using our FX Centrum platform. And we will start and begin with the coffee market first. So what we can see on the coffee market is that, as alerted yesterday, is that there was a breakout of the consolidation, and as well you can see that stochastic oscillator had a bearish divergence. So basically market retested the high at this point around 198. But the stochastic oscillator, and especially this fast line, made a lower high where the coffee made a matching highs around 198, and that resulted with a downside move towards the 187.30. So at this point, we can see that there is a chance for the test of the 184, or even for the market to trade towards 178.40 or even pin bar low at 175.08. So this might be the topping activity, more like a triple top on the coffee market, and yesterday's breakdown of the free bar balance at this point is a good sign of the downside momentum. Now, speaking of the crude oil, we can see yesterday we had an outside reversal down day. So this is a daily time frame. I will just zoom in for you here. So you will see that this is a reversal candle. So market actually there was an attempt for the retest of 79, but then the market rejected aggressively and closed near the low. And so far today we can see we have followed through the downside. And that's a pretty strong sign that the sellers are taking control from buyers, and that we may see the further lower prices on the crude oil. So if you, for example, if you check here on the bottom chart, there is like the rate of change, period 2. And we can see here that there is a bearish divergence on the rate of change. So basically what happened is market made a higher high at this point. You can see if I place, for example, this trend line, and this is the first initial swing high, then we had a pullback, and then we had another rally at this point. So that was a secondary, so that's what the swing high, the higher high, but the oscillator made a lower high. And yesterday's big reversal bar probably, was the catalyst for the downside to continue. And we can see today that market is trying to test 75.50. So I see that potential level to be in the play, 75.50. And then the next downside reference point is set, I will say, around 73.70 mark, which is this area where we have lows and highs from these 3 days here. If we go and check lower frames, for example, like hourly time frame or 30-minute time frame, we can see that market mostly like just made a bear flag. So market just tried to rally in the last couple of days, and then we have a new low. So we see the 20 moving average is sloping to the downside at this point. So this was this reversal area that I mentioned on the daily time frame. So the downside is likely to continue on the crude oil towards the downside reference points. Now, speaking of the US 100, this is something that we mentioned, the level at 17,475, and the price actually went there. And then yesterday we held the rising 20-day moving average, or basically middle Bollinger Band, and market rejected close. But we have an inside day at this point. So an inside day, we can place the swing high at 17,000, let's say 900 mark. And that can be an important pivot to watch, because if we can clear that 17,900, we can open the door for higher prices, and even for the market to retest 18,060 mark, which is this swing high from a couple of days ago. In case if we don't have a break and follow through of this swing high, then there is a potential for rotation back towards the 17,000, or let's say middle Bollinger Band again, 17,827. The rate of change is sloping to the upside, so there might be some follow through at this point. And if we check lower frames, for example, check the 30-minute time frame, this was a classical bull flag at this point. So I will just put a trend line here, and you will see that this was a classical tight consolidation. And this morning we can see this mini breakout of this contraction at this point. So the upside momentum is present. Now, speaking of the USD versus Japanese yen, we can see that after the market closed into the upper and above the upper Bollinger Band, there was a neutral day yesterday, a very narrow day, and today we can see the market is trading lower. Now, the rate of change is also sloping to the downside, and so far, we can see market is trading in a consolidation with a support at 150 mark, and that's a pretty important reference point. Now, also interesting to watch is this zone here, where we had this initial push higher. So here, and we can place the, for example, this area and mark this area more like this is a gap area, and we are now in this gap. So from my perspective, if you know, 30-minute time frame, we can see that fast line is making some kind of the bullish divergences, but overall, as long as the market is trading and not breaking 148.70, there is a chance for the rally back. So for the rally and back towards 150.75, or even higher, so 150.75 or even this 151 mark. But so far, it seems like consolidation. Sellers are still trying. So let's see if this gap zone can hold. And if this can hold, we can see another push higher. If market, for example, trade below 148.70, and so that can be a sign for the market even to go lower towards the 149.27. The next one is pound dollar, and we can see that as alerted in my in yesterday's daily market update, there was a rejection of this middle Bollinger Band and some follow through, but the market closed off the low. We also have some negative economic data this morning, and in the UK. And if we go here, I can see that there was a breakout this morning of this more like a bear flag, and I will again place the trend line here so you can see better. So this was like trend line and more like a bear flag pattern, and there was a breakdown this morning. So market is now trying to rebound and rebounding, but as I said, pay attention. You know, the rally, maybe the middle Bollinger Band on the lower time frames can be in a nice zone, potential further downside development. And still the level at 1.2517, 520, we didn't test that swing low, the previous swing low, and we can see here there is a still chance for lower prices in the next period on the pound dollar at and the next objective can be, as I said, 1.2517 and then 1.2450 mark. Now, if we see the alternative scenario, for example, I will say the market can really retake this and hold above 1.2575, and there is a chance for maybe rotation towards the previous day high, which is sitting around just to place the horizontal line, so sitting around 1.610 mark. But just in case of some aggressive rally and hold above this 1.2574. that's not the case at this point, so the downside pressure is still intact. Here on the euro versus US dollar, what we can see is that market had a narrow day yesterday, and let me just zoom in this for you. So we had a narrow day yesterday, and today pretty much neutral stance. The market is, if we go hourly time frame, you see that Bollinger is trying to contract. So far we have defined a mini trading range between, I will say, 1.2740 like resistance and support around 1.0723. So we also have this strong downside imbalance that happened in the background. And for me, from my perspective, as long as the euro can trade and hold below 1.0755, 58, there is a more chance for the price and for another downside swing to develop, and potentially to retest the support area or the swing lows around 1.0, I would say 700 mark. So far, we just have the consolidation and very tight price action this morning. US30 traded below the middle Bollinger Band on the daily time frame, and then we had a very narrow day inside day. So far, market is trying to hold, and it's trading above the previous narrow day range, but still it's inside of this bigger down day. So it's inside of this, we call this a mother candle. If we go and check lower frames, the rate of change is flipped to the upside after this down day. If we go and check lower frames, we also can see that market had more like a pullback, and it is breaking this very, very tight range. So we have a potential for the market to trade and try to attack this big downside imbalance, which is around 3,000, I will say 870, and this area here. So this was this zone to watch. If the market can break through and then hold above, it will be a strong sign of strength. Or if market can just retest that, and then we see aggressive sellers, and so then there is a potential for another downside lag. So watch for that zone. I think it's very, very important. Now, speaking of the gold market, so after the market 2 days ago, market closed below the lower Bollinger Band, and then we had a very narrow day the very next day, which is pretty common after such a big down move like we had 2 days ago. And today also we have a narrow day. So far it's a very tight consolidation, similar to the euro. Market is trying. If we go to the, so we have this range, as you can see, horizontal range with a resistance around 1995, but still a big imbalance in this area here, and that can be there's lots of volume and supply at that point. So any point if the market for example try to attack that zone, which is, I will say, which is starting from 2010 towards 1998, so this zone here, and if we see some bigger rejection, there is a chance for the market to load even further downside, for example, to continue from that zone. In case of the break and hold of this zone, and if market can really trade in hold above 2010 and so on, then there is a chance for the bigger reversal on maybe for the full absorption of this supply towards the 2031. Pay attention on this zone. So we have a couple of instruments, this big imbalance zone to watch and pay attention. And watching the last one for today I want to cover is dollar index, and we can see here that the market had a rejection of the middle Bollinger Band, and then the very narrow candle on the upper Bollinger Band. So that's a sign of indecision just after the rally. So there is a pause in the momentum, and if we go and check lower frames, we can see that market is having some, again, this big zone of imbalance, which can act like support on the way down. So that will be all, guys, for this for this update and daily market FX Centrum analysis. Stay tuned for the next update, and have a good trading day.